Congressman Jim Renacci. He is a candidate running for governor. Jim,
thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. Look, as I've been traveling the state, and I'm so honored to be here, especially an event when we're starting to talk about Christian values. Let's face it, our country is losing its way, and so is our state. And I'll never forget, I was at an event with Dennis Prager. And how many of you know Dennis Prager? Dennis Prager said, where we failed is the greatest generation. And if you think about that, that's many of your moms and your dads and my mom and my dad. And here's what he said. The greatest generation was so concerned about making sure that we had what they didn't have, that they forgot to give us what they had. And what they had was the love of God and the love of country. They forgot that. And because of that, remember, that's Dennis Prager. Every time I say something, people say, oh, I don't agree with what Renacci said. That's Dennis Prager. But I agree with what he said. The greatest generation forgot to tell us why they were the greatest generation. Because they came here. And the greatest thing they realized was we have a great country, and we have a great belief in God. The problem is they were so worried about giving us what we didn't have. And many of us have been blessed. For those of you that don't know me, I moved here 38 years ago. I've been a business guy. I started my first business with just a couple $100. I traveled the entire state. I was a consultant. I saw a state that was absolutely unbelievable. And with just $200, I was able to start that business, grow it from one business to 60 business, create over 1,500 jobs, and employ over 3,000 people. And I saw Ohio as one of the greatest states in our entire country. But we've lost that. We have clearly lost that. And we lost it when the federal government first started infringing on us. So think about this. We have a federal government who we gave them limited powers, and now they're taking absolute powers over us. And why are they taking those powers? Because we're taking money from them. At the state level, we're taking money from them. So we're following them because we're taking their money. And that's one thing that has to change. We have to tell the state of Ohio, we have to say that we do not want your overreach anymore. Now, how do we get that done? How do we get that done? We got to have a strong leader in the state. Because just like Governor DeSantis, we need people who say, no more. You're not going to tell us what to do. You're not going to do this. But we also need to make sure that we prioritize a couple things. Here's my priorities in life. It's always faith, it's always family, and it's always freedom. And I will tell you, I've got a busy day today, but many of you, if you follow me, will know that my faith is very strong. And actually, at 5 o'clock today, just like 5 o'clock every Saturday, you can find me in a Catholic church somewhere in this state. Because what I normally do is when I get close to 5 o'clock, I tell my driver, let's pull over, let's find a church, because I need to be able to spend my time, my hour with the Lord. And that's the faith that I have, because my decisions so often are made on spending that time and just reflecting on what the greatest country we have, and in many cases, the greatest state we have, and the greatest opportunity. But that's my faith, and that's my strength. Now, I will tell you, we need to change some things in Ohio. There's no doubt about it. We need to get faith back in. We need to get freedoms back in. We need to be able to make sure that family is important. Family and faith are so important. And think about what has happened over the years. We now have a governor who basically supports CRT coming into our school districts, critical race theory. And he may say that, oh, I don't support that, but he appointed 8 members of the school board that all supported critical race theory. I can tell you, these are the kind of things that we need to change.
Oh, yeah.
I can also tell you that we have a state that economically is just going in the wrong direction. There are so many statistics out there that I can read off that will show you that our state is heading in a horrible direction. So, why am I doing this? I mean, a lot of people ask me, why am I doing this? Well, first off, I'm doing this for a couple reasons. Why am I running? I ran for Congress because something was taken from me. My business was taken from me. And that's the worst thing that you could ever feel, to have something taken from you. But I'm a husband of 38 years, married to my high school sweetheart. I have 3 great children. But I also this year got a blessing, because I now have a grandson. And I got to tell you, there is nothing more unbelievable change in your life, and I'm sure many of you have felt that, is when you get that grandson and you hold that grandson in your arms for the first time, and you wonder, what kind of state and country are we leaving our children and grandchildren? Look, I also, and I'm very proud of this, my mother will be 95 years old this year. My mother, from day one, taught me the Christian values. She took us to church every Saturday night. Or actually, back then it was Sunday. She took us to church every week. She told us that faith always has to be part of your life. And that's one thing that I have continued to say, that faith has to continue to be part of my life. But I will also tell you something very interesting. You know, I was asked, many of you know, I was asked to leave the governor's race in 2017. I knew Washington was broken. I was asked to leave the governor's race. I said I was going to leave the Congress and run in the governor's race. And I was actually on a track to defeat candidate DeWine at that time. But I got a phone call from the President of the United States. And I'll never forget that. He said, Jim, we need to get you into the race. I need you in the Senate. I need you to help me. Now, I got to tell you, I didn't want to do it because I really believed you can't fix Washington in Washington. You can only fix Washington in Ohio. But after a number of conversations with the president, I did agree to step in that race. And by the way, I don't regret too many things in life. I mean, I've got a great life. I started out with nothing. I lived the American dream. I'm very proud of that. But I always look back and I say, I regret that I moved into a race against a guy who already had $20 million in the bank, and I only had 6 months to defeat him. But I will also say this, I learned a lot, I traveled the state, and I almost defeated a guy who spent $33 million against me, and I only spent and raised 4. So I was 8-1 outrun. But here's what I would tell you about that. He only beat me by 150,000 net votes. Let's not forget that, out of 4.4 million. But it gave me the opportunity to think, maybe there's other opportunities in my life. When I lost that election, I got 2 phone calls. 2 phone calls, 2 of the most important phone calls. One was from Ivanka Trump. And she said, Congressman, by the way, I still have that call on my phone. Congressman, thank you for what you did for the President of the United States.